Welcome to Solving by Factoring Part 2. Alright, so what we want to do here is solve quadratic equations by factoring. So we're continuing this. The big question is, do you feel there's a big difference between yesterday's lesson and today's lesson? So between the notes you took yesterday and the assignment you worked on and today's, what this one does. There really shouldn't hopefully be, but I want you to be honest with yourself and you tell me. Okay? I am going to show you what I feel is like an easiest way to do this, and I'm showing you every single little itty bitty step. If you know some ways that you can kind of quickly see the answer after doing some initial steps, that's fine. But I'm again showing you everything. So don't start complaining. This is a lot of work. This is too many steps. Okay? All right. Awesome. So now let's look at something here and let's remember. We had a problem like this. This is what we were working on yesterday, or what you're working on in, say, today's lesson, but so on and so forth. See if you can actually solve this problem, and then I'll pause this for a second, see if you can solve it. I'm going to let it hit play, and I'm going to let it run through. I'm not going to even say anything. I want you to tell me, see if you understand. If not, that is something you need to make sure you're asking me. Okay? So, let's see. Pause. Okay, now hopefully after your pause, you've now hit play and you're going to watch. I'm hoping as you're watching this, all these look familiar as to what you need to do. Okay, and again, you should be able to get to these answers and be able to find the answer. If there are any questions, these are things you need to make sure you jot down. You write down and you ask me. You cannot just sit there and like, well, I don't get it. Ask. If I have to go over like a bunch of examples to keep going through it, then that's what we'll do. But that's the only way I can help you guys. Okay, so now let's learn how to factor when you have a number in front of the x squared. So we're going to start off just like we did before. Put parentheses in both. Split the x's up. Plus plus means plus plus. But because we have this number in front, the easiest and best thing to do is go ahead and take that number, whatever it is, and put it in front of both x's. The idea is that you would eventually discover which x it would be, but we're going to just do a method that will not even have to worry about that. You're going to put that 3 that was in front of the x squared in front of both x's in parentheses. Now, because you have an extra 3 there, think of it like that, because there's only one 3, and I'm putting 2 3s. Since you have that extra 3, then we're going to take it and multiply it to 21. Oops, sorry. That's what I meant to do. So take it and multiply it to 21, and 3 times 21 is 63. That is what you're going to find factors of. You're going to find factors of 63, not 21. So my factors of 63 are all being written down. And again, plus plus means I'm adding. So I want to know which numbers add up to 16, but multiply to give me 63. And in this case, it's 7 and 9. So now I would go ahead and say, okay, there's my parentheses, there's my factors. I can set them equal to 0. And I'm going to go ahead and say, solve from there. Set both of them equal to 0 and solve there. So I want to make sure I subtract from both sides and then divide by 3. Now notice I'm going to do that for both of them because they were both plus 7 and plus 9. I'm going to subtract and then divide. So no matter what, my last step is I'm going to be dividing by that last number, or that number that's in front of the x. So the first one I get a fraction, but the second one should come out nice and even with a negative number. Negative 9, 3x is equal to negative 9, x is equal to negative 3. So I'm going to divide and get my answer from there. You did have some similar problems to this that were already factored in your first assignment. So just kind of keep that in mind. This is not that much different. Okay, let's look at another example. I've got 4 examples for this, so we should get, hopefully that will help you with most of the questions here. So here I have 5x squared minus 19x plus 12, and it should be set equal to 0. Okay, again, parentheses. I'm going to put 5x, 5x. So I'm going to put 5 in both parentheses and split the x up. Minus plus should be minus minus. Then I'm going to say 5 times 12 is 60, and I'm going to figure out all my factors of 60. Not of 12, but of 60. So 1 and 60, 2 and 20, 2 and 30, 3 and 20, 4 and 15, there's a lot of these, 5 and 12, 6 and 10. Okay, now which of those adds up to 19? Because that's the key. Again, when you have minus minus, when the signs are the same in the parentheses, you're adding. So 4 plus 15 is 19, so those are the numbers I'm going to put in. Set them equal to 0, each one individually. Then I'm going to do the opposite of subtraction, which is add, then divide. So that's what you will see here. I'm going to speed this up just a wee bit. And you can see going through those steps. Okay? The steps remain the same. If you need to, try to do this, the same problem by yourself on a different sheet of paper and see if you can get that answer. If not, then start asking questions. This is one of those, the more you practice with it, the easier it will get. Okay? Again, notice some of the key differences. I'm always going to put whatever number's in front of the x squared in front of the x. And I'm multiplying 5 times 12, so I'm multiplying both end numbers to figure out what numbers I need to work with for my factors. Okay, 2 more examples. Okay, my next example is 3x squared minus 5x minus 2 should have been equal to 0. There we go. And then what am I going to do there? Well, again, start off with 3x. Okay, plus minus, or minus is a plus minus in the parentheses, so that's what I've got there. Then I'm going to do 3 times 2, which would be 6, and I'm going to figure out my factors of 6. So 1 and 6, 2 and 3. Now again, because I have a plus minus, I want to subtract. When the signs are different, subtract. Which of those will give me an answer of 5 when I subtract? Okay, 1 and 6 gives me a 5, 2 and 3 gives me a 1. So I'm going to use 1 and 6. And now I'm going to say 1, goes in this order, 1 minus 6 gives me that negative 5. Okay, so keep that in mind. 1 minus 6 gave me an answer of negative 5. Set those equal to 0, and now I can solve. Okay, so you can see here, like I got that plus 1, I subtracted 1, and then I divided by 3. Got the minus 6 becomes plus 6, and then I can divide by 3. And that will give me my 2 different answers here. Okay, so you can see how factoring works. Let me do one more example, and then we'll be done. Okay, so here I've got 2x squared plus 3x minus 20. Okay, so again, I'm going to put 2x in front of both parentheses. Plus minus is plus minus. Then I'm going to figure out my factors of 40, because 2 times 20 is 40. So 1 and 40, 2 and 20, 4, because 3 doesn't work, 4 and 10, 5 and 8, and then 6 and 7 don't work, and I'm done. Okay, again, remember, when the signs are different in the parentheses, you will subtract. So 8 minus 5 is 3, so I'm going to put it in there. Now, it should be 8 minus 5. Kind of keep in mind the order is important. So I'm saying 8 minus 5 gives me an answer of positive 3. And that's kind of where I'm working that, finishing that out. Set those equal to 0, and then I can solve. I'm going to subtract 8, then divide by 2, and then I'm going to add 5, and then divide by 2. So I'm doing those like as 2 separate problems, but within one. Kind of think of it like that. So I get one answer of negative 4, and I get another answer of 5 over 2. And again, it is okay to have fractions. Now, I do realize for y'all, all these numbers that were in front of the x squared were prime numbers. 2, 3, 5, I could have done 7, whatever. Even if I had done like 4 or 6, traditionally I would have done something slightly different. But with this method in solving, this works every time. As long as it's factorable, this could work. Again, whatever number's in front of the x squared would go in front of the x's, and then you would take that number and multiply it to the end. So you would multiply both end numbers, the 2 and the 20, and work from there with those factors. Again, if you do have any questions, feel free to let me know, or write them down and make sure you ask them on Friday. or the next class day when I see y'all. Anyways, that is it for today. Thank you very much for your attention, and I will see you when I see you.